Hey guys, I'm Val. So today I'm going to be sharing with you Arc Lash build, the basic attack build. So since this is a basic attack build, it's not going to be using any mana, and it's incredibly fast. It kind of reminds me of Stormclaw from the Druid, but it does more damage and it's faster. It's just not as tanky as Stormclaw could be. It's not mine. I learned of it from one of Rob's videos. It's from Mekuna. He's been rank 1. He keeps on popping the charts for the new Gauntlet mode. Hope you guys enjoy. For the abilities, I'm using Teleport. This is a movement ability, and it will trigger the unique T-Bolt's Will, which will increase your damage. The next ability is Flame Shield. We're using this for the immune, and it gives you 25% movement speed. It will also heal you for 50% of your missing life. The next ability is Ice Armor. You gain a barrier that forms around you for 6 seconds, absorbing up to 48% of your base life, and all damage dealt will add to this barrier. For the ultimate, I'm using Unstable Currents. This increases your attack speed by 25%. Crackling Energy will pulse 25% faster, and whenever you use a shock skill, a random core, conjuration, or mastery shock skill is also cast. And since our main source of damage is Arc Lash, this is going to be spawning other shock skills for the duration. Our basic attack, our main ability, Arc Lash, you unleash arcing lightning damage to enemies in front of you. Every 10 times Arc Lash swipes, it will stun all enemies hit for 2 seconds. If Arc Lash's initial swipe critically strikes, it swipes an additional time. Hitting a stun enemy with Arc Lash reduces all your cooldowns by 0.15 seconds. This combined with the aspect hectic on your boots will reduce all your cooldowns and will increase uptime of your ultimate. For the final ability, I'm using Ice Blades. This increases your damage and has a chance to apply vulnerability. We're not using Lightning Spear because this will be automatically cast while the ultimate is up. For the enchantments, we're using Fireball. Whenever you kill an enemy, they explode in a fireball for 60% of its damage. Fireball's critical strike damage is increased by 20%, increased to 30 when hitting at least 3 enemies. For the next enchantment, we're using Teleport. After teleporting, you gain 30% damage reduction for 3 seconds. For the helm, I'm using Harlequin Crest. The Shaco Godslayer helm works as well, or an aspect such as Juggernaut or Might. For the chest, we're using the Raiment of the Infinite. After using Teleport, those enemies are pulled to you and stunned for up to 3 seconds, but Teleport's cooldown is increased by 20%. So each time you teleport, this would also have a chance to proc Godslayer if you're using it instead. It is a basic attack build, so we are using Pain Corger's Gauntlets. Damaging enemies with a non-basic skill cast marks them for 3 seconds. When a basic skill first hits a marked enemy, the basic skill's damage is echoed to all marked enemies, dealing up to 200% increased damage. For the pants, I'm using T-Bolt's Will. You deal 40% increased damage while unstoppable in 4 seconds after. This also procs each time you use Teleport. For the boots, I'm using the Hectic aspect. After casting 5 basic skills, one of your active cooldowns is reduced by up to 4 seconds. For the main hand, I'm using Storm Swell. You deal up to 30% increased damage to vulnerable enemies while you have a barrier. For the offhand, Rapid. Basic skills gain up to 30% increased attack speed. For the first ring, I'm using Gravitational. You could also use Moonrise or Adaptability here, which would increase your basic attack damage by up to 80%, and Moonrise would increase your attack speed. The reason I have Gravitational and Talrasha's on is I was planning on playing a different build after this. Moonrise and Adaptability would be much better in these slots instead. And for the neck, I'm using Ancient Flame. While both bonuses from the Isu's Ferocity key passive are active, your attack speed is increased by up to 75%. This is an auto attack, basic attack build, so attack speed is a very important stat for these kind of builds. For the skill tree, our basic attack is going to be Arc Lash. That's what the whole build is built around. You're going to be putting 5 points here. 1 point into Enhanced and Glinting Arc Lash. For the core skills, you're going to be putting 5 points into Fireball. This is our enchantment. It's going to buff the damage of the AoE after you kill enemies. Basically, to cause a chain reaction, once you kill something, everything's going to explode one after the other. 1 point in Enhanced and Destructive Fireball. 1 point in Chain Lightning, Enhanced Chain Lightning, and Destructive Chain Lightning. 1 point in Charge Bolts, Enhanced, and Destructive Charge Bolts. You're going to be spending these points, so when your ultimate triggers free abilities, you're just buffing them. In the defensive tree, we're going to be taking Flame Shield, Enhanced Flame Shield. And I made a mistake here. You're not taking Mystical Flame Shield. You're going to be taking Shimmering, which will heal you for 50% of your life. You're going to be maxing out Teleport, 1 point Enhanced and Shimmering Teleport, and 1 point into Elemental Attunement, 3 points into Glass Cannon. For the Conjuration skills, you're going to be putting 1 point in Lightning Spear, Enhanced Lightning Spear, and Invoke Lightning Spear. This is because our ultimate has a chance to trigger this spell as well. 1 point to Align the Elements, and 3 points into Protection, 3 points into Conjuration Mastery. For the Mastery skills, you're going to put 3 points in Inner Flames. Your Pyromancy skills deal 9% increased damage while you are healthy. This affects our enchantments damage, Fireball. 1 point to Ball Lightning, Enhanced, and Mage's Ball Lightning. 1 point to Static Discharge, 3 points into Shocking Impact. This will proc from our lightning damage and from our unique chest. For the ultimate, we're going to be putting 1 point on Unstable Current, Prime, and Supreme Unstable Currents. And for the key passive, we're going to be taking Isu's Ferocity. This increases your critical strike damage by 25% and critical strike chance by 5% against enemies that have above 50% life. Also, critical strikes that kill enemies or hit a boss grant both bonuses against all enemies for 3 seconds. This will increase our attack speed by 75%. And since this is a basic attack build, attack speed is one of the most important stats. For the construct, I'm using Flash of Adrenaline, Duration, and Tactical Support. And then Genesis. If you do not have Genesis, you can do Safeguard here. Next, I'm using Tempest, Resource Support, Efficiency Support, and Arcing Support. If you have Evernight, you would replace Arcing Support. Here's some short gameplay of a tier 100 Vol, just to show you how the build works. For the Paragon board, we're going to be going up to the right, grab the life, and then the glyph is going to be destruction. We are going to get the extra resistance and non-physical damage here, and we're going to go up, and the next board is going to be ceaseless conduit. The glyph's going to be control. You deal 10% increased damage to slowed or chilled enemies, or instead 20% increased damage to stunned or frozen enemies. And with the unique test, all nearby enemies will be stunned when we use teleport. We're going to go up and grab the extra damage to elites and movement speed. We go right. The next board is going to be Enchantment Master. We are taking the legendary node. The glyph here will be Elementalist. Dealing fire, cold, or lightning damage to an enemy increases all damage you deal to them by 5% for 10 seconds, stacking once per element. This will stack to 15% and will be active as long as we are attacking. It refreshes. It also buffs the non-physical damage here and the resistances. We're going to grab the damage to the elites and the extra non-physical damage here. And we're going to go down, and the next board is going to be Elemental Summoner. The glyph is going to be charged. Taking up Crackling Energy grants you 5% increased damage for 5 seconds, up to 15%. This will refresh as well, basically a 15% damage increase. We grab the non-physical damage and resistances on the way out to the right. The next board is going to be Frigid Fate. You do take the legendary node here. You deal bonus damage to vulnerable enemies equal to 10% of the total amount of your bonus damage with cold, up to a maximum of 30%. And the glyph is going to be Enchanter. For each skill equipped in your enchantment slots, gain +5 maximum resistance to that skill's element. So we're going to gain 5% to fire and lightning. We also get increased non-physical damage here from all the intelligence. And we're to go up. Our next board is going to be the Searing Heat board. We are taking the legendary node. Pyromancy skills have a 12% increased critical strike chance and deal increased direct damage equal to 10% of your damage with fire bonus, up to 30%. This will buff our enchantment Fireball. And the glyph is going to be Exploit. Dealing damage to a vulnerable enemy increases your damage by 1% for 6 seconds, up to 10%. This stacks and refreshes. I'd have to say this, along with Ball Lightning and Blizzard, are all S tier builds for sorcerers. They are the top 3 builds for the Gauntlet at the moment, and they can do any other content as well. This build depends on its stun for its defenses. Basically, if you're not attacking, there's a pretty good chance to get one shot. It is extremely fun to play, and it does a lot of damage. And on top of all that, it's very fast. If you guys have any questions or feedback, I'll reply in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the support, and I'll see you next time.